All right, everybody, good morning. Good afternoon to Karma Cuticles. All right. I hope you were able to join yesterday's live stream. I do try to do these live streams every day between 7 to 8 in the morning Eastern, starting yesterday, basically. So going forward, that'll be the time frame that I'll try to be coming live every day. Hope you're all doing well. How you doing in there, Mark? Good morning, good morning. All right, so Bitcoin, am I right? Nice run up to 45,000 last night. 45.5. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Love to see it, right? So taking a look here, right? So we had we essentially ran from range low all the way back up to the range high. And this was our previous monthly range right here. Right, we fell out. We hit our doomsday targets, not all of them, but a couple of them here. Right, this was our NPOC from last year. One of them got hit. This is a monthly. This was a weekly. So the higher the time frame, the more I guess more relevant the strain is there. Generally, you would see these weeklies get tapped as well. So it's a little odd that one wasn't tapped yet. But regardless, we did come down, take this monthly. So far, we re-entered into this monthly range right here. These were the levels to the upside that we were looking to regain, right? We've been kind of covering that for the last few weeks. These were our, worst case scenario. If these NPOCs didn't hold, this was the area that we were looking to the downside here. So we've obviously regained this 39 to 41K level pretty substantially, right? With pretty much just a straight cut through like butter. Okay, one of the biggest, reasons we were looking at that 39K area was that there was a 2-year key level that resided there, right? So that was right here, about $39,800, right? So this was our big, our entry, not entry, but this was our one of our bottom portion of that levels to regain area right there. Wanted to see this level regained, held this support for continuation to the upside. Entering into this $42,000 category also puts us into this previous range that we were in over here. But at the end of the day, also really actually puts us back into our overall, I'll take this off, our overall range from last year, right? So now we've actually re-entered this overall range with the range highs actually coming up here at about $64,000. So obviously there's a lot of milestones in between us here. We've got the POC for that coming at about 58,000, I believe. If that kicks on. Yeah, POC coming in here at about $57,000. This is an NPOC too at the moment as well, so that's a pretty big volume target to the upside when we start making our way up there, right? Getting a little ahead of ourselves in that aspect, but overall did re-enter this previous yearly range right here at $40,000. So let's see if we can hold it. We may be getting a little bit of a pullback here, right? I mean, we've already gotten a little bit, so to speak, but we were coming into these 2 quarterly levels yesterday. And I think yesterday's live stream, we were probably right about here, I believe. Could be wrong. We were at one of the 2 here. And we were looking essentially just for this, right? If we were going to get rejected at these Q4 key levels, Q4, Q3, we were looking for, a possible revisit down to this weekly pivot, which is also the CME futures gap. At that point, I would have imagined that we actually probably would have went a little bit lower, maybe retested this yearly key level right there that we had been anticipating on getting above previously. And if that did not hold, we were looking to the monthly open was a pretty big area of interest for me. If we did start to kind of, and still is actually, if we do start to come back down to these regions, I think that would really, mess up a lot of people's day to break back through 40K region, right? And while $40,000 is just that well-rounded number that everybody in their head makes to be, major, support at this point, realistically, that support is coming in at this weekly pivot. Also, the CME futures gap, coincidentally, at about 40,500. But realistically, these 2 right here would be considered more support, in my opinion. This is that 2-year key level, right? Once again, that we're looking to get over that 39,800. All right. And then if that was just kind of drop out from under us as well, then this monthly open, which is also now a new NPOC, right? So we just created that. I'll take off this open here so you can see that. Right, so we got an NPOC and a monthly open basically stacked right at the same exact spot, about 38,500. So that would be an area of interest if we do start coming down, making our way back below these EMAs for a short period of time. I think that, like, once again, that would be a pretty big bearish thing throughout the sentiment. But all in all, you'd really just be coming down and, printing a lower high, continuing your uptrend regardless. So even if it is at this pivot, even if it, maybe we just come back down and actually retest these quarterly key levels right here. But not out of the picture to look at this 38.5 and this 39,800 as well as 40,500. So those would be the three levels for me that I'd be looking to the downside if we start coming back down heavier than expected, I guess. All right. So yeah, as you can see, a perfect just run up a wick above here through the monthly range high, close right below it, got rejected. Essentially, we'd be looking for to come back down towards the EQ or the point of control for this range. This range. So this range point of control is right here, about 40, right at about 42K. So right at about where this Q4 key level is coming in at. So this has got, a good amount of support stacked here as well. We've got our EMAs kind of circling around this area as well. This is on the 4-hour time frame, by the way. So yeah, just kind of looking for some reactions out of these two levels here. Take a peek at, we got RSI just kind of coming down. Doesn't really look a certain way aside from it just falling, but no divergence on there that I could see off the just quickly there. So yeah, just kind of looking to see these two were the levels that we were literally just at just yesterday. 43K, 42, essentially, give or take. Like I said, this is the actual point of control for this range that we are still basically in. We did cycle through to the top of the range, but we did not break it. So we still are within this range. All right. Once again, the levels that we're looking for. I'm going to clear this out a little bit. Let's see. Turn off that, and we'll leave it as that, I suppose. So this is pretty much, to the downside, the four levels I'd be looking at. Pretty much coming into this Q3 quarterly key level right here. It's about $43,000, about $200 from where we are right now. As always, paying attention to see how this, reacts with the price action. At any point right here, we could see this move. We do have the crypto regulations meeting today at some point, I guess. So if we do get a pullback and that conversation doesn't go extremely one way, I guess that would be the reason behind it. But in general, a pullback at this level is just not, not to be unexpected, I guess. Did pretty much come through and print a higher high from this previous level over here. So, once again, uptrend is pretty much, on the table at this point. Let me see what the daily looks like real quick. Yeah, so I mean, you pretty much came through. We didn't necessarily print a daily quite yet, right? We got some wicks, but we don't have that daily uptrend necessarily going for us at the moment. Really want to see this level right here, especially candle body. We basically closed right at the same level there, about 44K on a candle body on a daily time frame. So you really want to see that level starting to be printed above on a daily close daily at 7 p.m. Eastern. So take out this high, and then of course take out this high, and granted that's $52,000, so that's quite a stretch away. Don't necessarily know if you want to, risk missing out on that, just waiting, if anybody is, at this point. But yeah, so taking out this high would definitely be a good sign in the sense of, putting in this, you got your low, your high or low. This would be your higher high. This would be your daily higher high once we break through, closed above this 44K on a daily basis. We have not done that quite yet. You have on a wick, right? We have a wick above this previous area. Depends on how you want to look at it, though. I wouldn't necessarily consider that. I definitely would be looking for more of a candle body close above 44K for the daily uptrend. Now, with that being said, though, on these medium time frames here, like I said, on the 4 hour, you're starting to close. Yeah, we got candles above that. So on the smaller time frames here, we are starting to put in that higher high than our previous level over here. So for now, probably coming, obviously we're going to probably come back down, you want to see a higher low. Obviously we don't want to come back and start closing below this $36,000 level. That would be not the best sign of strength there. But like I said, coming into any of these levels right here would be, there's reason behind it, right? There's not just randomness behind these levels. It's not just because this was, our support over here 2 weeks ago. This is definitely, this is the average of price from last week. This is our weekly pivot. We've got 2 quarterlies right above us, which we're literally coming down to right now. The point of control, which is a volume target, in the current range we're in, is right under this Q4 right here. So this would be a nice area too to kind of pay attention to. The thing is, for me, I think everybody's eyeing this CME gap. And if we do start losing this level right here, that's definitely where we would probably start to land. I just don't think that we'd only land there, because I think that everybody would stack, their buys right here. And not in the sense where that could push the price. It could push the price, don't get me wrong. I guess that would be an area where, we could come in here and the market would launch from there. But to shake everybody up that's going to enter here, try to go long or whatever, I would see that these 2 targets might be a little bit more likely. Just short period, even if it's just a couple hours, get down to them. Once again, this is a volume target down here that we left from last week. You've also got this 2-year key level coming in right here, so this is major support. Not that it's a ton right below 40,500, but if we do break that $40,000 big round number, drop down to this 39.5, 39.8, you already know how people will react to that. And so that's the gist behind those levels that I'm looking at right there, right? So break below this Q4, aka the POC. Look for this weekly pivot about 40,500, 2-year key level about 39.8. And then we've got a weekly NPOC down here about 38,500. And reason for this level to also be a little bit more stacked. You got 2 stacks, in my opinion, right here. This is the point of control and a quarterly level. This is a naked point of control and a monthly open. So, and I'm pretty sure it's an untapped monthly open at this point. Right, so you got the open right there, 38.5, and you got that NPOC. So those are to the downside. Now to the upside, right? Say we just turn around right here, or we turn around at this Q4 key level, the point of control right here. We come back through and we break through this current monthly range we're in. Let's kick that back on, right? We got the high coming in right here. You kick that high off, and we start heading up to the upside, right? Like just to say that's the trajectory here. We got a pretty big level above us that we want to see reclaimed. Regardless, it's a target to no matter what. Let's see where we got here. So just as similar as this, the 2-year key level was coming in here, we've got a yearly key level coming in right above us. Key levels. And it's right here about 47,700. So this would be a major area that I'd be looking up to if we start clearing above this 45, 40, basically 45. Start clearing above this 45K range high right here. I'd be looking up to this 12-month key level right there. Then you've got a quarterly right above that at about 49K. and that's just on key level aspects. Above us, just like below, right, where we had a bunch of NPOCs, which once again are volume targets. We had a couple to the downside, one of which was this $33,000 that we came down and tagged pretty perfectly. When we start clearing up to the upside here, we also got a ton of NPOCs to the upside, right? So I'll just go ahead and click them all on here. You got, all the way up to almost 65K basically. So one of which comes in at about 49, you got 50, you got 56. Reminder that this is the 56, this is the actual yearly range, the actual POC for the whole year. And this is an untapped weekly at the same time. And then you go up to 65K. So we got some room to the upside, to start cooking, assuming that we can get above this 45K. So those are the levels that I'm watching for Bitcoin, right? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward, I think. I think I've went over the downside targets for the moment, right? Obviously, if we start breaking lower, then we got to look lower. But for now, I think that these 4 areas have a lot of weight to them. 38.5 would be that lower one, coming in as the weekly NPOC. Going to the upside, that first level you want to look for is going to be, and not first, I'm sure there's, a couple of monthly just close, levels in general in between. So, like I said, it's always, just similar to this, right? We had a run up, you kind of stagnated, then you finally come up for the tag. It's not just going to be straight up, but this would be that next, big level where, we probably may see a big rejection. Not a big rejection, but whatever. Maybe it's a big rejection. Who knows? These are the levels, regardless. How about it's going to retest in 40 to 42? It totally could, right? For anybody that's just joining, we were just talking about that. So I was just given the upside potential just this last second, but pretty much the first 10 minutes here, we've been going over the levels to the downside to watch. So yeah, so essentially here, what we have, right, is we've got a current range that we're in. And let me just drop on. We got the range high. Our range low comes in here at about $36,000, basically where we based off of right here. This was actually our previous weekly pivot before this launched to the upside. And our range high comes in right here where we see we got the rejection from basically last night, got a little wick above, started closing back within our range. So when you start closing back within your range, you want to start basically targeting your point of control again. And the point of control for this range overall resides right here, about $42,000. Also at $42,000, give or take, right? You see it's about $42,100. There's a quarterly key level. So yeah, it can definitely come back down and retest this area, about 42. This is a big level of interest for a lot of people because this is essentially not because of the weekly pivot. I'm sure most are not paying attention to that, but that is where the weekly pivot does reside. But this is where the CME futures gap currently is. Wouldn't be surprised also to see the CME futures gap not get filled, right? So the same thing happened last year in July, right? We took off from 29,000, and we pretty much left a CME futures gap at 32 to 33, which we just now filled several months later, right? When coming into this level right here. So just something to consider there, if we do get, come down to these levels, and if you're looking at, enter at any specific levels, enter in general, if you got some dry powder on the side, don't get too greedy, looking for a massive pullback. But if you do start to get it, these would be the levels I'd look for, right? So there's a difference between getting greedy, looking for that pullback, and then just having a plan for in case you do. Because like I said, if you start getting a move back down under 40K, or let's just say we start pulling back here, come down here, we sit here for a minute, people are going to probably be entering, buying in, thinking that that's the low or whatever. And it could be, once again, this could be the low, this could be the low, this could be the low. Any of these levels could be where we turn around at, right? You just got to pay attention for how we react at those levels. But it's, to me, it's important to have, just a game plan in place, right? If I open up my portfolio tracker later today, and I see that we're at 38.7 or 38.5. I would definitely be going in right here. Wouldn't be panic selling, right? And that's the difference between a lot of people is if we start to come back into these levels, it's very scary, right? Because now you're talking, you just were at 45. And once again, this is just big ifs right now because we could still just continue. You could still just come down, hit this 4-hour EMA right here, tag it, and run back up to that 47K, right? So like I said, you got a lot of volume targets to the upside, just as much as we do have, more so to the upside than we do the downside. And we've seen these runs, basically, last October, last July, we get to this position where every single person was, really, really, really wanting lower, looking lower, cashing out on any small little rally in hopes to kind of buy back to the downside. And then, price ends up running away from everybody for a hot minute. So it could totally happen like that. So once again, just look, this is what you want to look for. Obviously not financial advice. This is what I'm looking for. I'll reword that. So you come through, we get a break of this range high, 45K, then we're looking to the upside, right? We know we got that key level coming in about $47,000. We got NPOCs at 49, 56. I mean, there's a multitude of upside coming after that point. Now, on the other hand, since we are looking a little down at the moment, right? We're starting to kind of come through here on this 4-hour candle. You got a bearish engulfing. It's a little likely that we'll come down a bit more. And so what are the levels you want to look for to the downside, right? And that's what we've just been kind of going over and covering for the last 20, 30 minutes here. I'll do it one last time here for Bitcoin. But you want to look for this Q4 key level, right? So it's about 42K. This is also the point of control for this range, right? So that's a volume target, a big area right here. Regardless, we'll probably catch, if we do get to this level, we're going to probably sit here for a minute. And then after that, you're looking down to basically, I'll just call it where the CME futures gap is, but it's also the weekly pivot. It's about 40,500, give or take, right? So these are areas, maybe it's not going to be the exact dollar, but that would be an area of interest right there. Now we have our, previous doomsday level, which both of these two areas, right, basically the weekly pivot and this yearly key level come in at. These are the levels we wanted to see regained and flipped as support for continuation to the upside. So just that, right? We want to see these two kind of holding as support, right? So this key level right here, yearly key level, 2-year key level at that. This could be a big area too, where we see a lot of support come in. And once again, this is right under 40K. So a lot of times we'll see moves like this, right? You get that little break below a big round number. Everybody gets a little worried because they're going to, they're thinking that, oh, it just broke 40K. We're going straight down to whatever, 36. 30. They just kind of bring out random numbers. So that's what it's important to kind of look for some why behind it, right? So there's why behind these levels right here. Just as there's why as to why you can see this, right? Boom, we hit this level. Not only is that the point of control, it's a key level. Next one, boom, we hit this level, key level. Next one, boom, where did we turn around at? Right at the range high. I mean, these aren't random, right? Coming back down would be the same way. So if we and once again, you don't know which way this is going to go, right? I would love to just be like, oh, it's just going to come catch right here and turn around. You can start to put that together as it's happening, but realistically, you don't know. We could come back down. We could go all the way back down to range lows. So you just kind of want to pay attention to these levels and see how it reacts when it gets there. So yes, it is definitely this could go up, this could go down type of situation, but you make a plan, you plan your reactions on how the price action is going to move. So that's really what technical analysis all really comes down to, right? Nobody knows exactly which way it's going to go, but you can make an educated plan on how you're gonna react. So, and everybody's strategy and everything is different. Some people obviously can't watch this all day long. Some people don't even access a chart, right? They don't even load one up. You can literally put, alerts on every single one of these levels. Very quickly, this will send me a text message once this level's crossed, once this level's crossed. So you don't just gotta, hope you catch it on your, lunch break or whatever. If you're working throughout the day or anything like that, this will actually send you a notification and you can, decide from there. All kinds of things, but in general, this is what we'd be looking for to the downside if we do catch, some more droppage. This would be a big one for me if we do manage to get to this level. I think that everybody'd be really losing it for a minute, right? If we start seeing 38, little wicks below. But if we do come down to here, effectively, you would just be making a higher low, right? And continuing your uptrend here. So, like I said, you are making a higher high on short-term time frames, not the daily quite yet. So we're not necessarily in a daily uptrend, so to speak, unless you want to consider wicks. I think it's probably smarter to wait for a full daily candle body close above the previous high over here around January 13th timeframe. And until then, just kind of continue with riding the wave. But yeah, at the moment, I mean, we get this pullback right here, higher lows in, and then more than likely we're going to continue to the upside over the next, several days or several weeks. So Ethereum here, we were looking at, trying to see here. I think we had a golden pocket around here. Cut off those. I'll leave them on. Okay, yeah, so Ethereum literally almost made it down to our big buy zone, which during the market meltdown a couple weeks back, I think it missed the entire box here. And this is one of those things where it's like when in the Discord we were putting up a lot of these with a golden pocket area. This is before we even came down into here, golden pocket area, and then a big buy zone if the market just completely melted. And this is why it's important to kind of not necessarily aim for the exact bottom on a lot of these. Because this happens more times than not, right? I think Magic had a big Vechain setup too that missed by like 4% as well. So this was a 4% miss right here. If you were aiming to get the exact, not that this was the exact bottom, but if this would have been a bottom, right? Like basically right at 2,000, right around that rounded number. So once again, we had these levels marked off right here. This is the 818, the 886. But ever since then, obviously we've had a 40% rally to the upside. So it can be dangerous waiting for those exact bottoms just as much as it is trying to catch that exact top. But regardless, we were looking for a regain of this golden pocket to the upside. Same deal. This was around the same time we were looking for Bitcoin to kind of punch through those levels that we were looking at, right? The levels to regain, which was 39 to 41K. So around the same time frame, we basically did both of these. Generally react the same, Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? So they kind of busted through at the same time. So now what we're looking at is, some very similar to Bitcoin, right? And then this is kind of how we gauge our alts, right? A little off the old Queen ETH, right? You had a 2-year level right here, similar to how Bitcoin did, right? That was the equivalent to about 39K Bitcoin. Both of them kind of broke through at the same time. And actually, we actually have our yearly coming in here for ETH at about 3,100, and we're starting to close back below that. We're starting to lose it. So at the moment, though, we're coming into support at this 20 EMA. So possible, right? Still possible to kind of hold that and start kind of continuing higher. Pretty much above us between this yearly key level and this next quarterly, we really don't have much in between us, right? There's some weekly levels. So, I mean, like I said, there's going to be some stops along the way, just like anything else, right? These are some small resistances here. Once we can actually start making it back above here, these are some small levels right here. We might get stopped at for a second, around 3,300, 3,600. You got a pretty big one here at about 38. And then we actually have a volume target. The only NPOC left behind from Ethereum is $4,000. Assuming that Bitcoin, starts rallying higher and everything as well, I think that these levels can be met pretty quickly. Not necessarily over a few, next few days, but maybe within the next few weeks here. So that'd be what we'd be looking for to the upside, not to the downside. Very similar to Bitcoin, right? If we take off our key level here, you can see we got this weekly pivot just generated from last week, and this is right down here at about, once again, this would probably start shakes, if we get this, right? If you lose this 20 EMA right here, you start dropping a bit, I'd be looking for, this 55 EMA, and generally we could probably wick past it. That's about 2,900. The weekly pivots here at about 2,876. And the same thing just goes for Bitcoin, right? This was probably also imply that we're probably falling back down to, 40K. on BTC, just kind of having a little bit more of a pullback. This really isn't that much, actually. This is 6%, right? Yeah. So not a huge pullback by any means. This is more so a psychological thing, I think, though. If we start breaking back below 3,000, right? I think everybody just really gets a lot of hope when we break above these, big numbers, 3,000, 4,000, so on, 40K. And when we start dropping below that, even if it's just a bit, you start to get a lot of worry, coursing back through everybody's blood. So if you do start seeing that, though, like I said, this would be probably the landing pad that we'd come into, give or take. Let me see what else we got here. Yeah, so we got a monthly level right here. So, within this range right here, I'd say would be the levels to watch, unless Bitcoin just really starts melting to the downside. Then obviously we got to start looking lower. If you come back down and you knock out this previous low, that would not be great, because once again, same as Bitcoin, we've got, a system of higher highs and higher lows being built out right here. For Ethereum, unlike Bitcoin, even on the smaller time frame, yet we have not put in a higher high on market structure quite yet. So this is still technically a downtrend for Ethereum. Right, so we got, I guess we'd probably want to take out this one right here. So about 33,062, 3,362. That's probably what you want to see kind of overtaken. And right now we're still closing even below this last little peak right here. So to the downside, be looking for this little region right here. All right, we'll go ahead and box that off. So like I said, essentially like 2890, possibly down 2750. Once again, this is assuming Bitcoin's probably going to be taking a tumble too, the whole market essentially. It's really not that big of a drop though, even from top to bottom. Okay, 15%. Yeah, that's not great. So from where we are now though, it's not as bad. So yeah, 15% drop overall. That would definitely probably be, BTC dropping back down under 40 for a minute, kind of rattling everybody up. But the same deal. Effectively, you'd be coming down, making a higher low. So is that, and once again, this is big ifs at the moment. So we're paying attention to how price action is going to react at certain levels here. We are literally coming into some support right here. A lot of times these EMAs act as pretty heavy support too, especially when we're above them. So we could totally even just turn around from here. So 4-hour candle is what we're on right now. We did break down. It's 3 hours before we close it up. If we start closing back above this level, then we could probably assume we might continue to the upside. Otherwise, we do have, essentially the same deal as BTC. You got a bearish engulfing candle right here, small time frame. So, small reactions probably going to come out of it. But this would be the landing pad if we start coming down anymore. So. All right, in the trading group yesterday, Discord, Magic and I mean, he's a beast on Bitcoin. He even actually put up quite a few altcoins as well yesterday, which is pretty nice. But, while he's just pumping out BTC, I tend to look for the altcoin setups as much as we can, kind of find. And I was looking for some that hadn't rallied yet, right? Because yesterday, pretty much the entire market was brought up with the whole Bitcoin move. VXV, right? So kind of integrating a little bit of volume targets into, some pattern trading as well, right? So we kind of had this pretty clear, ascending triangle happening with VXV, and up until about here last night, we did not have really any movement. So I was looking at this on a couple of different ways here. We actually have our weekly pivot right here for VXV that's probably about to get tagged. Had a little breakout coming back in. Pretty much just, giving up everything that it gave up yesterday. But looking at this on a different level here, the reason I like this setup, well, for one, VXV is like beaten down still like 56, like most. It just didn't have a bigger rally like some of the other ones yesterday. And then what else we got here? And then putting on a volume range here. We are sitting right here. Let's see, I'll take off this top here. And I'll take off that too. Basically right here, this bottom line is our range lows. All right, so we're essentially kind of finding some acceptance back into this previous range. Or into, we fell out of this range right here. We're trying to get back in it. and now we have obviously ran back into it, and right now we're coming back down, retesting the lows. Obviously, you want to see this held. Anybody taking a trade on this would actually be a pretty decent area to look to get in. You'd want to put your stop loss obviously right below the low here, kind of protect yourself in case the market does kind of roll over on us. But from here, we'd be looking up to our point of control, which is about 368, our EQ, and then essentially, ultimately the range high there. So from this move up, this would be a possible 36%. This is without leverage, the possible 36% move up to that 368. You got a possible 45% move up to the 399, and then almost 100% move up to the range highs. This wouldn't happen overnight. Obviously, this is going to be something that takes some time. But that is something that we put up in the Discord yesterday. And then we did have this run up. So anybody, if they were taking aggressive profits, probably took a little bit right there, because that was a decent little move too. I think it was like 10 or 15%. I mean, yeah, at the exact high it was 23 if you managed to catch that. So that was a good one there for VXV. Looking up for that one. Vechain. I know Magic covered this one yesterday, and like I said, he had a bomb set up for this to catch the bottom. Not to catch the bottom, but to try to scale back in around some lows. And it was like right here, he had the low coming in maybe 5% below that, something like 3, like just literally right below. So it just missed it. But anyways, we've got the current range for Vechain, same thing, right? Posted this setup when we were here hugging the point of control. Let's see, bring it up there. There it is. So when we were hugging this point of control right here, we were looking for a move to the upside, targeting basically the EQ, this key level right here. Our golden pocket would be the next target, and then essentially the range highs after that. So far we literally have come through, took out the key level there. We took out the golden pocket yesterday, coming back down to support, may come back down to this weekly pivot. And then ultimately we're looking for these range highs next, about 70, I guess 0.77 cents. So just from the point of control move, that was essentially a 30, if you took profit here, even at the bottom of this golden pocket, about 30% move. If you're going to hold out for the range highs, that'd be about a 50% move there at a Vechain. What about SLP? I did talk about SLP yesterday, but just to kind of show how some of SLP, I mean, really just melted to the downside. Has had a nice little move here. So, I mean, had you gotten in at these lows, obviously you'd be, you'd be looking at 100% if you would have managed to take profit at that level. Even right now, it's about 80, once again, from the low. However, the thing with SLP is it is just literally down like 96%. So I was talking about, we were saying how yesterday, I mean, it couldn't get much lower than that, but obviously it can literally go to zero at some point. Let's see here. Yeah, from the top to the bottom there, I mean, we were down 98% on SLP. So is recovering a bit, because I know with the gaming tokens and stuff like that, they're kind of picking back up. Could totally turn around and be a major winner, right? This is something with like, I think it was a super small market cap, like 50 million or something. So 74 million now. It was 50 million yesterday. I mean, so this could be a big winner, just a big risk at the same time. So, similar to some of those coins from last year, right? When we were looking at some of these micro caps that a lot of people ended up YOLOing in a lot more of their portfolio than they should have. But, when you see stuff like this, these high risk things, if you got a possible 50x, 20x, 100x, opportunity on something that's obviously based on if the market is, moving to the upside, that's something you kind of roll the dice with, right? With $1,000, and if you could turn 1,000 into 100K, then that's great. And it also vice versa. If you lose $1,000, you're probably not going to be, out on your mortgage for the month. The Super Bowl pump is in. Nice. All right, so I don't know if everybody was here a minute ago. We'll go over Bitcoin one last time here. Like I said, generally I do these updates 7 to 8 in the morning Eastern time, going forward Monday through Friday. Been trying some different times around to see when would be the best time frame. So just giving this one a new shot here. Does seem to be working out pretty well. But so essentially we had Bitcoin in our, previous monthly range right here. We got our range lows, we got a range high, basically came in, tagged that range high, a little wick above it earlier, or last night, I suppose, and then we start closing back in. So now we're essentially targeting our point of control for this range. It's going to be right here around 42K. But don't be fooled by, if we do turn around in this region as well, because we do have some good support in these two levels. Quarterly key level coming in right here. But if that one is lost, I would be looking to this Q4 key level right here, as well as this being the point of control for this current range. This is an average of price as well. Now, losing that and coming any lower, let's see what this would even look like, right? So we pretty much have had a pretty decent run out of Bitcoin, about 40%, give or take. So if we were to get a pullback down to this pivot, about 11%, wouldn't totally be out of the question, right? This weekly pivot right here does come in right at the CME futures gap as well. So I think that this would be a big area of interest for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to be trying to stack some longs here, possibly trying to just get in general. Regardless, I mean, if you pull back 10% in Bitcoin, I mean, it's never not necessarily a terrible idea, especially if you're coming into support at these levels as well. Thing is if we don't hold that level, I think that it'll really rattle some people up, right? So if we start dropping back down to this 2-year key level, this is the one we wanted to really get back above and regain, hold as support, and continue on to see earlier in the week, right? Or last week, I suppose, we were looking at this pretty heavy. We were looking at it as the doomsday levels, right? So back when we were trading below here, we were looking to regain these levels for upside. All right. So we'd really look, be a great thing to see these two held, but there is reason and merit to see these levels right here being hit. So the reason I bring that up is to just kind of make sure you have that plan, right? So if you do start to see, a drop below this 39K, and we do see this one. Now this one has got, this is kind of double stacked in my opinion, right? So we've got this weekly NPOC, which is a volume target that we left behind from last week. And then on top of that, it is also our monthly open. At the same time. So I'm not saying this has to be hit by any means, but if we lose these levels right here, this would be the one I'd be looking for pretty heavily. And at the end of the day, we could always come down to range lows, right? So that's the thing we were talking about earlier. It's you want to pay attention to how the price reacts at these levels and have a game plan for it. But realistically, these the 4 levels I just kind of lined out would be what we'd look for to the downside. Any point we can get that turnaround here, right? But if just on a psychological level, even just thinking about that CME futures gap, we got that crypto meeting or something going on today with the government. You could see maybe a little sell-off going into that, and that being the why, right? Because there's always that news that comes out that makes it make sense. And if we start dropping below 40K, we lose this, right? Because a lot of people are going to be stacking up right here at the CME gap. Which I highlight this because that's where it is. It's like right at the same point as this weekly pivot. If we do lose, you start losing this 40K level though, that big psychological number, everybody gets really worked up. So these two really would come into play if we start coming into the 39 and 38. And from there, I would imagine that this one would hold pretty well. But we'll see how it goes, right? So you have to roll with the punches here. That's to the downside idea there. To the upside, right? You just want to see this range high basically broken and held, and we're going to continue on moving up. It's about $45,000. We've got our next yearly key level coming in right here, about 47.72, 47.7. So that's one I'd be looking for there. And then we've got a bunch of NPOCs above that as well. So you got 49K, you got one at 51, things of that nature. So between 47 and 50K, we can all probably assume that's going to be a big level to get through. That 50K is always a big one to go through. And we've been there like 20 times in the last year. But getting a little ahead of ourselves in that aspect, you just want to break that monthly range before we start looking up. As soon as that, like once again, you can put alerts on these levels, and you just kind of have a nice idea of where price action may be heading. And where, we took a look at Bitcoin pretty heavily today because once again, the altcoins are derived off of Bitcoin's movement. So if Bitcoin continues to the upside, you can assume that these altcoins are going to do very well. Yeah. For anybody that's interested, Magic Internet Money and I, he is a just savage analyst and trader. He basically knows Bitcoin's chart inside and out. The two of us paired up and we started up a new Discord group where you get my altcoin setups, you get his Bitcoin analysis. We do exclusive member only updates 3 or 4 times a week. It is known as Leading Crypto, right? So link is in my bio if you're interested in joining that. You do get basically, like I said, altcoin updates essentially from my side. You get in-depth updates from Bitcoin, from Magic. We've got an academy here that has basically how-to videos on basically how to do anything and everything in this market. If you've never traded anything before, never made a chart, never read a chart, this will teach you how to at least understand the basics. And we've got a ton of active traders all over the world constantly posting in this market. So we've got a BTC only charts group here, which is pretty active there in that aspect. And then we're also having order flow and open interest as a pretty big key perk as well. Burmax right here is actually an order flow open interest specialist that we have on the team. So he is going to be unveiling that basically in the next couple weeks here. So pretty interesting stuff. If you're interested, like I said, give it a shot, give it a check. Got a link in the bio. Otherwise, we'll be live here every day, 7 to 8 in the morning, at least Monday through Friday. And like I said, we do the Wednesday and Sunday night exclusive Discord only updates for the members there. But this is what we're looking for. So clear this range. We're heading back up to the downside. You got the few levels that you're looking for here. Very simple, right? All these levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's call it 5. All of them have a why, right? Like there's a reason behind this, not just because this was support over here, right? So yeah, I hope you all have a great afternoon, great morning, great day, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Until next time, everybody, cheers.